Let us now begin our learning journey of RESILIA. Section 1 is about the purpose, benefits, and key terms of cyber resilience. In the exam, there will be 2 questions from this topic of the total 50. The good thing about the exam is the questions are in the same sequence as the learning topics in this course. So the first 2 questions in the exam will be from this topic, and the next set of questions will be from section 2 and so on. The syllabus of the exam for this topic is to first of all describe what cyber resilience is, to differentiate between security and resilience, and also the benefits of the cyber resilience. Then we will also look into the 3 types of controls: preventative, detective, and corrective controls, which need to be balanced by any organization. Then the people, process, and technology importance for cyber resilience. Then, as I mentioned earlier, the balancing of the 3 types of controls, and also balancing people, process, and technology. For example, if one type of control is less effective, the other control can compensate a bit. So if processes are weak, then people can strengthen a bit from their side. And then also understand the concept of risks and opportunities. And then there are some key terms such as confidentiality, integrity, availability, authentication, and non-repudiation. Now, if you've already taken a course on information security or ISO 27000 series or something similar to this, then you would have a lot of knowledge already on these terms and other concepts as well. From time to time, we may refer to certain quick examples based on these 3 companies that are listed here. So we have a retail company, and then we have a medical company and a manufacturing company. The retail one is called Sell You Goods. They have a risk department. They are responsible for compliance with regulations, and they have their own business continuity plans, and they need to have a synergy with the IT department to implement technical controls. And within the risk department, there is an information security manager. They want to know more about the need to prepare for incidents in particular, and they do not want to assume anymore that preventative controls will be successful. So, which means they may be thinking about detective controls and also corrective controls. Then the medical example is the organization MedUserve. They have outsourced all their IT services to a large reputable provider. They have a contract, of course, with that provider. It's managed by their small finance office, and that finance office also looks after the payroll of the company. And this MedUserve medical company is in the process of negotiating a contract with another new customer, which is a very large hospital. And in that contract, they have clauses about assuring cyber resilience of any IT systems, naturally, of course, wherever patient data is held. And the finance officer has been reading up on the subject to understand more about all this. Then the manufacturing company is named Make You Goods, and one of their non-executive directors has become concerned about cyber resilience and wants to see whether they are adequately prepared for that. So we begin by looking into the purpose of cyber resilience. And that is to ensure that an organization can confidently continue to deliver its business strategy and desired outcomes. And as I said earlier during the introduction to this course, it is important to understand, remember, and acknowledge these statements and words that come in this course throughout the course. And therefore, this may require you to go through these slides and also the RESILIA manual if need to a few times before you attempt the exam. Cyber resilience measures need to be aligned to those outcomes. So imagine if cyber resilience is not there, then the organization will lose confidence to deliver the business strategy, whatever there is, and to deliver the desired outcomes. So examples of strategies and outcomes could be that they want to expand their business to new geographies or become a tier 1 supplier or tier 1 organization in their industry sector. Their outcomes may be to improve their revenue or market share or whatever in line with the strategies. So cyber resilience best practices, that is mainly RESILIA, covers practices and activities across the ITIL lifecycle. The ITIL, that is the Information Technology Information Library, which is one of the most popular IT service management frameworks in the world. And therefore, these RESILIA best practices cover the relevant practices and activities across the ITIL lifecycle and outlines how ITIL lifecycle processes and activities can be used to support an organization's cyber resilience strategy. Now, if you're familiar with ITIL V3, as I also mentioned in the introduction to this course, ITIL V3 has 5 lifecycle stages of service management, which begins with service strategy, moves into service design, then service transition, and then service operation, and then continual service improvement. Therefore, we will see linkages of Resilia with those 5 life cycle stages and their processes and activities to a good extent. The exam is not about ITIL at all. However, the linkages with ITIL need to be known for the exam. It is part of the syllabus, apart from the controls and objectives of Resilia. Of course, you could use, or your organization could use any other service management frameworks, not only ITIL. It could be, for example, IT for IT or maybe other frameworks. Now here, in terms of cyber resilience strategy, a good example could be what should be the considerations for the cyber resilience team members, or what should be the policies or strong policies needed by the organization? How should incident responses be planned for? What kind of training may be necessary for members of the organization? How to deal with robust data backup and recovery, or how to monitor and improve security measures, and so on. Now, let us understand the term cyber resilience. Though we have been mentioning or hearing about this quite a few times already, resilience is more than prevention. Security controls do not guarantee protection always, and if stringent, can hinder agility and innovation. And that's because security focuses more on protection and less on recovery from related incidents. So when we hear the term information security, generally it has a narrower meaning, which is about protection of information and other assets. But resilience goes more into not only protection, but also detection and correction, which is more important. Now, of course, every organization uses these terms in their own way. For example, if there's an information security officer, they will definitely deal with resilience to a large extent. So there can be some differences of meanings in different organizations. But however, from a Resilia perspective and for the exam, you need to differentiate clearly between security and resilience. Therefore, the goal of a risk-based approach to cybersecurity is resilience, to not only prevent, but also detect and correct, meaning quickly recover from related incidents. Now, incidents, what do we mean by them? There's a lot about incidents which come in the news now and then. For example, ransomware, deep fakes, faulty security software can lead to organizations crashing in their business. There can be cloud data breaches. There can be wiretapping on the telecom wires, and so on. Therefore, cyber resilience, the definition here is, and note this carefully, and this is the ability to prevent, detect, and correct any impact that incidents have on the information required to do business. So the emphasis is on the information, and the emphasis is also on the incidents, and namely to prevent, detect, and correct them, so that the impact is prevented, detected, and corrected as well. So there are a couple of critical elements of cyber resilience. First of all, there should be a clear board level ownership and responsibility, and then adoption of tailored learning and development for all staff, which means this cannot be left to people on the ground. It has to start from top down. So the board members need to understand what this is about and how to go about it. And also at the same time, they need to educate their staff up to the ground level regarding what this is about. Further, the impact of cyber resilience, ownership and training. It is important that people in the organizations clearly understand what the critical assets of the organization are, especially information related assets, information that may be stored on servers and so on, or in the form of even physical records sometimes locked up in safes. Then also they need to have a clear view of the organization's key threats and vulnerabilities arising from their environment and from their customers, partners, and supply chain, meaning it's an end-to-end holistic view of cyber resilience, not just within the organization, but impact from external sources, etc. We are going to understand what threats and vulnerabilities mean afterwards. There is a difference between threats, vulnerabilities, risks, assets, and so on. And then this ownership and training also helps in the adoption of a common language by all stakeholders in the organization. And the assessment of the organization's cyber resilience maturity and design of appropriate, prioritized, and proportionate plans using best practice guidance is facilitated by the ownership and training of cyber resilience. And of course, as said before, there need to be appropriate balance of controls to prevent, detect, and correct incidents related to cyber security and resilience. So therefore, the ownership and training will also facilitate that balance.